Hey everybody, and welcome back. Well, I'm waiting for some news sort of from Jim, who owns the Henderson, about what we're going to do and various other things like that concerning the Henderson. So I thought I'd spend a bit of time getting this further along. So I put various other pieces on since you were last here, but most importantly I got the rope pull put on properly, and I tell you what a difference it makes. You remember, I think I mentioned it the last time, I was getting about 70 psi on the compression test. Put this on so I could really spin the motor over, and I get 110. And I've been fiddling around. I'll show you in more detail, but I made an air line or an air connection for the air filter to the carburetor, and I've been able to get it run. Generally I can get it started. It runs a bit oddly, but it's this weirdo Tillotson carburetor which I've been trying to find information on. I found a little bit about it. Even on the Tillotson website, which has an archive section, they didn't have, this is an MD carburetor, MD119A, and then there was a 119B, and there's no mention of an MD range of carburetors. So what's going on? They fitted this one from 61 to 63, I found out on the Topper website. And there was a sort of parts diagram of it on there, but there was no list, there was no, what's the word, no legend for what the numbers were. But then I did find some more information in a little book on Harley singles, not exactly this carb, but with the same sort of needle jet thing in the bottom. So I found a couple of settings that I'll work on. I also put this engine cowl on and connected up the throttle cable, which didn't seem to be working right. I couldn't get it to work right. As I say, the center of the cable is actually solid core, it's not a braided wire. So when you pull the twist grip, instead of it pulling the cable through, it pushes the cable, and that pushes the little arm for the butterfly. But it wouldn't work right. And then when I couldn't fathom out how this went on, when I was looking at the video of how this was before I took it off, on top of the reed valve cage, I noticed this little arm that the cable went to, and I thought to myself, I've seen a little bit of flat, bent and drilled like that. So I looked in the box of bits for this, and sure enough, so when I put that on, that gave the right run for the cable, so that works okay. So what I've been doing is I did some painting. I also sent Mark, who owns it, I happened to look on eBay last night, and there was a pair of the springs for underneath here with their rubber covers on. So I sent him an email about that. I don't know what he's going to do. What else? Oh, and did I just say I've been doing some painting? If not, I've been doing some painting. So I'll show you that, and I'll show you the other couple of things I've done on this. Then what we are going to do, I was wondering about the exhaust system, how bunged up it was. It's an old Type 2 stroke. It's the actual end is rolled over. It doesn't come apart at all. So I'm going to use the good old method of getting the carbon and oil alight and burning it out. So we'll do that. So that'll be nice and messy. So let me show you the couple of bits on this first. Now the airbox is actually up above this, and it has a round sort of tube filter that goes in it, which I still have to get. But I had to come from here around into the carburetor. So I went along to my long-suffering auto parts dealer. I seem to remember they used to call it a Motor Factors when I was a lad in the UK. And you know, they sort of love it when I walk in, because like with this, I went in and I said, okay, I want a radiator hose, 2¼ inch ID with 2 right angled bends in it. And sometimes I'll get a young fellow that'll say to me, well, what's it for? And you know, I have to say to them, what difference does it make? Told you what I want. So anyway, I had to get 2 pieces. But as it turned out, the very wide diameter meant that they were really big radiuses, so I couldn't fit them in. So what I did was I cut one down to go there, and then with a piece of, fortunately I had some aluminium tube the right diameter, I sort of cut it at an angle and cut off this side and filled it in. So I made it go, and then another piece of rubber tube here, so that's all connected up. So what else did I do? Let's go around the other side. I haven't done much over here. As I say, I put the cover on, but I also put the back part of the pulley, the automatic transmission pulley, and its little cover. I haven't fastened that on yet because there's the out part to go on. I could have put the other part of the cone pulley in, but that's got all the rollers and stuff in it for the automatic transmission, so I wanted to build that sort of on its back, put it all together and then put it on in one. So that's that. Let's go and have a look at the paint. Now on the paint, Mark sort of said, surprised me. I told him I was only going to blow it over, that you know, as I mentioned before, this isn't really a restoration, it's a tidy up. So they did them in blue and a couple of other colours, but they did them in red and white, and you know, red is just a magnet to me. So all that's done. That's how it is at the back with the white. So when I'm a little more confident with the engine, although actually sort of all this part goes on, and this is classed as the engine cover, and it's held on each side with 4 Zuz fasteners. So I probably could put all the bodywork on except this piece. You know, the backlight, and this is the front, the headlight goes on there like that. So I was doing that. Okay, let's go and have a look at this exhaust. Now the pipe itself doesn't look too bad, but as you can see, either the carb's still flooding a bit, or the settings I was using, which I did find out that needle thing, I had it screwed out a good bit, and the one piece of information said screw it out 1 turn and then start the tuning process. So may just be that I'm flooding it continuously, which is why I can't get it to run right. But I don't know what shape this pipe and this end is supposed to be, but that's what shape they are. So the down inside the pipe doesn't look too bad. So I can see a lot of carbon in this, not much oil, it doesn't look shiny, but there is quite a lot of carbon in. So let's take it outside and see if we can get it cleaned out. So what we're going to do here is use the carbon and oil as the fuel. We're going to set it alight with the oxy torch, and then we'll actually turn the acetylene off and just let the oxygen feed the fuel that's in there. So it'll slowly burn its way all the way through. Now I've actually turned the acetylene off, but as you can see, it's still burning nicely. I actually warned George that if he saw lots of smoke from behind the workshop, it wasn't me on fire. Well, I can't reach the camera to turn you off, but I am going to stop the video here and bring you back when I'm finished. You've got the idea. I did that, I haven't switched you off yet, just to show you, because I know you can see the flame on the torch, but I'll do it again. You can see there's actually no flame from the torch. So there you can see the heat effect on the paint. And for those of you who are safety conscious, that's why my voice is a bit strange. I was wearing a breathing set all the time, so we're alright there. So now we just let this cool down. Now then, what we should be able to see There you go, I see. All that's left is ash. You give that a little tap round and that'll all come out. It's actually burnt my box. Here, look. Okay. You can also see actually the temperature of that. This is where it's, you know, there's a lot in here, there's less in this end. So although it was still burning, it didn't really heat it up as much as there. So we'll give that a coat of black and that'll be fine. Alright, look at this. I was just tapping it around and actually the baffles come out. And I don't know if you can see from that, but it's tapered, so it only goes into there. You bang it in, I guess, from this end and it jams in there. But you can see on there how much burnt off. So I'll give that a wire brush and bang it back in. Now then, giving the silencer a coat of black and with a couple of little tapered pieces, I've made this round and the end of that round. I also made a new one of these. The mounting, as you may remember from the original video, was just sort of supported on a couple of pieces of flexible something, which is obviously just, you know, I mean, this was built in 1961. If it's the original, what's that? It's 58-year-old. So I was trying to think of what I could use to do this, and then when I was rummaging around for something else, actually, I came across this, which, as you can see, is a drive belt. Well, this, of course, has got fibre backing and everything, and it's quite, in short pieces, it's quite stiff, but still flexible. So I cut it pieces, used a round punch thing to put holes in, and did that. So let me put the pipe on here. Just a quickie. I couldn't resist putting a bit of the bodywork on. Starting to look like something. Now here's a job I'd completely forgotten about until I was sort of moving the top of stuff around to tidy up. You may remember that one of these was broken off right near the bottom. So I'm pretty sure that they are actually cast into this. It doesn't look as if they're threaded in. In fact, it almost looks... No, that's alloy. But anyway, I'm not going to risk it. I don't want to break something else. So what I'm going to do, these are 1/4 inch fine. I've already taken off the broken bit down flat. So I'm going to drill and tap this to a size under 1/4 fine and make up a double-ended stud. 1/4 fine at one end and whatever at this end. So I've already found the centre. I got very technical. Used my test indicator in there. Just to sort of as a double check. You see, I put some die chem on. I used the centre finder, and sure enough, when I come down, it's spot on. So I'm going to drill that and tap it, and then I've got to make a little stud to go in there. Right, I've got it drilled, and I'm going to go with a 1032 in there for no other reason than I've got a bunch of brand new 1032 taps in the stuff I bought some time ago. So I got my little tensioning thing in here to keep everything straight. So let's see what we can do. Got some cutting oil on. So anyway, I will carry on doing this, and then we'll go and make the stud. Right, there's the stud made up. I've put 2 nuts on so I can lock this in. I'm going to put some red Loctite on it. I notice when I'm watching videos, everybody knows all the different numbers. You know, like Adam Booth and them, it's all very technical. Red and blue, what more do you need to know? So then that's gonna go in there. So there we are. Job done. Right, we're going to do something else now. Right now, I've had a delivery. I'm having to kneel down here. Linda's got guests and she's pinched all the chairs out of the garage. Those are the rear suspension springs. Look at the size of them. So anyway, what I'm going to do is take this bar out. I'm going to leave doing one at a time. I think that'll be alright. So let's get that's right, I think one of these is jammed on. So we've actually got to wind this all the way down. Hang on a second. Right, I've got that off. Now then, these threaded ends are 1/2 inch fine. So what we're going to have to do is push them in there like that. This end first, because although that's a plate, this is actually a, well, it's made out of plate, but it's a couple of inches, well, 1.5 inches long. Might, I suppose, have to jack this up so I can lift the back wheel or something. See how much. I think what we're going to have to do is screw that one. Screw them both all the way down. Am I getting in the way again? Right, let's see if it'll go in now. I'm going to try and get that way in there. Oh, okay. Now if I screw this down, so that'll go in neatly. There is actually a screwdriver slot in the end of each of these, so I can hopefully hold this nut, get in there, screw this out. Here it comes. Intriguing as to why they make them so long. Anyway, I'll put a nut on this end, like that, and we'll put a nut on this end. You'd have thought they'd made one short at one end and one longer at the other end, but as we have said many times, it is a Harley Davidson. So I don't really think logic, or even good engineering to be honest, comes into it much. Okay, so that's in there. So I guess if we tighten this up, that'll pull the spring. I'll tighten this up and bring you back in a moment. I put a jack under it to give myself a little bit of support for tightening this up. So now we've got them, I've got them on both sides. Take the jack out. Well, it sort of works. Okay, that's them in there. Ridiculous idea. Okay, next thing, let's have a look at these front panels. Now then, as you can see, I got the this panel on here. I've also put the speedometer in. This was an absolute nightmare. I put this front panel on, and then I found I couldn't get the back panel on, partly because of this chrome thing on the top. Now that would have been easy to deal with if I could have taken the handlebars off, but the handlebars go down the centre of the headstock, and there's a pinch bolt, and once you've got these panels on, you can't get the pinch bolt, so the handlebars have got to be on. So in order to get the speedo down into there, because it has two little bolts that go through a plate underneath, I had to put the back on first so that I could get at it. But the horn here is on 4 bolts. So I'll move you around a little bit more. Hang about. Hang about. Whoop. There you go. So the horn here is on 4 bolts. So I thought, okay, I'll take the light off, and then we'll just put it on. But I couldn't bolt the horn onto this front panel because those 4 bolts go through the mounting. So what I had to do in the end was put the rear panel on, sort of jiggle it about to get this chromed thing on the top, put the speedometer in, get that tightened up, then put this front on, and then poke my arm up through the headlamp hole. And these are, you know, these are 1232, so they're not much more than 1/8 of an inch. And then I had to get these 4 little nuts on blind. Then when I've got that on, connect the wires up through here, put the headlight back on, and then it was all on. So that's done. So the last thing we're going to do is, let's see what you can see. Yeah, you can see it. I've still been struggling to find some information about this Tillotson carburetor. I don't know if I mentioned it, but even on the Tillotson website, this MD series carburetors isn't mentioned, not even in the archives. But I've managed to find a rebuild kit for it, and I think I know what the M stands for. The rebuild kit is coming from a place that does antique outboard motors, and apparently the MD carburetors were fitted on them, so possibly the M stands for marine. Anyway, I fiddled about. I found out that the, let me move you again, this is getting ridiculous. I found out that the air screw that goes in the top was sort of bottoming out on the rubber hose, so I cut a little piece out the top of the hose, just thinned it off. I was able to screw it in a bit further. Bugger me, this thing actually runs. It doesn't run brilliantly yet, which is why I bought the rebuild kit, but what has been happening is it almost always starts. It races a bit, doesn't run right, but one annoying thing is this pedal tap leaks, and it seems to be a sort of, you know, made at the factory type. I can't see any way of getting it apart, and I can't find one. The Harley Topper shop lists them, but they're out of stock, of course. So what we're going to do now is try and start this, you know, tempting fate again. Fill it up with juice. Open the throttle a little bit. Have you all got your fingers crossed? Oh, see if you can cross your fingers and cover your ears at the same time. Now that's not bad, is it? Really, considering. I haven't got a wiring diagram for this, so I'm not sure how they do an engine kill. For those of you who saw the ones with the videos on the Hummer, what did I actually show you? Anyway, on the Hummer, on the crankcases, you know, it's a bantam engine, basically, with a vertical cylinder. There's a little button on the case, and it's got a spring behind it, like a little leaf spring. And when you press the button in, you actually earth out the ignition. This doesn't have that, but it does have, guess what? I'm going to move you again. See that little hole thing? And a little hole for a bolt. I'm wondering if there's a little kill switch that goes in there, because this one on the handlebars is the horn. So anyway, got the springs on. Guess what again, guess what? Let me take you right back here. I take it those springs are made for, because it has a pillion saddle, for 2 American sized adults. So any road up, how much can you see there? Ta-da! So not particularly long video this week, but with the Henderson, of course, I'm waiting to find out about things, so I don't know how we're going to progress with the Henderson. Might have to even go to the Enfield Trials bike, I don't know. So, oh, I know what I'll do with this. Before we finish off, hold on a second. One Harley Topper. We need the actual light unit for in there, but that's how it goes on. So, there you go. Got some little Topper names as well. Hold on a second. I'm not sure how these go on. They've got little pegs, but they don't have any grooves in the pegs, as if there's a little clip goes on the other side. So it might have to be a double-sided tape thing. And I think these holes are for the pillion footrest to come through. So we don't have those either. So anyway, that's what it looks like. We know it runs. So the big thing now is getting that clutch half. So from a disembodied me, that's all for this week. Go off and enjoy yourselves.